What's up, everybody? I'm Scott.
And I'm Jason.
And this is Liquid Carnage. My friend, summer has hit Arizona
Yes.
a little bit earlier than planned. We are in the first full week of the summertime in our great state, and it's hot as balls.
Yeah, I mean, it's been on the national news for a week and a half now about how hot we are. And even us Arizonans are saying, holy crap, it is hot.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. We're watching the monsoons build right now. Like every afternoon, like clouds are trying. They're trying, but it's like a tease. Like they build a little bit, but nothing ever comes through. And I keep praying that they say we're supposed to have a good monsoon this year. So
Oh, well, let's hope so.
let's hope so.
Let's hope because I'm ready for something different. Last year was horrible. So.
Oh yeah. I played a doubleheader in softball last Tuesday, and thank God it was the late games, like the 7:40 and 8:50 game, and there was no wind. At sunset, it was still 105, and the grass was so dry because of everything. There was no humidity, no breeze to kind of cool you off a little bit. It was just straight up miserable.
So wait a minute. So in your 40th year, you've decided to go back to the softball fields.
Oh, I've been back for about 3 years now.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Are we ready to say enough? Are we ready to say enough? Because I'm looking at myself. It's like, at what point do you say, okay, I'm an adult now? Childish games are no longer important in my life.
Well, the competitive level has dropped considerably for me.
Okay, good.
I make it very clear whenever I join a team that I am your backup outfielder. If you're going to play me, I need to probably just DH or rotate in. I have no depth perception, so you really shouldn't put me in the outfield unless you really don't care. And I'm just here to have a good time, and I'll fetch beers for people. So it's more of a social thing for me. It gets me out of the house, gets me something to do. And for those of you that have listened to the show for a long time, one of my bucket list items was to play for a bar in a recreational league. And now I'm going on year 2 of playing with a local bar establishment. Last year was the Sundowner, and I have signed with the Fireside as a free agent.
Wow! Look at you! All right, you're making things happen, buddy.
Yeah, that's right, man. So it's fun. It's exhausting because you forget that shit, man. If you have an 8:50 game, you're not done till 10, and I go to work at 6 a.m. So it's a very quick turnaround to try to crash and go to sleep after that, and it doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah, I got to a point. Remember, we were playing softball as a team, and I loved playing softball as a team for like the first 5 to 7 games. Then by game 8, I was done. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm not enjoying this. Please put someone else in. And that's when I knew, okay, Jason, I'm past the point. I have to cancel myself out of this social circle because I'm just not enjoying it.
Yeah, that's where we're starting to get it just as a team in general right now. We got put into B League because of an argument and a late roster turn in. So we're not a B League team. We're getting our asses beat. There's been a lot of double headers because we started the season later than normal. So they're trying to get everything caught back up. So that on top of the weather, man, it's hot. And you're right. We're just trying to cancel out ourselves in B and get demoted. And hopefully, knock on wood, with a few more weeks, we can do that.
Oh, good. Okay. Well, that's good. That's good. I know that it'll be hurtful to you to be demoted and have the ridicule of everyone, but I'm sure that you can live with it.
We will just go to our sponsor's bar, the Fireside.
Exactly. I was going to say, or just have the cheap beers at the softball fields, and you'll be fine.
Exactly. We will survive.
We will survive. That's right.
Yeah. Now, it's funny. You mentioned a word in there, and I wonder if our audience picked up on it, and I brought it up too. Canceling. Cancel culture has become a phenomenon in today's world.
That's true.
It's crazy how everyone is so quick to try to cancel or so quick to assume something is being canceled without doing their homework. It's just kind of dumb. I mean, is this a sign of where we're at in today's world?
Well, help me out, because can you give me what your definition of what being canceled or cancel culture is? I seem like I try to get a beat on it, and so many people have a different opinion about what cancel culture is. I'm not quite sure if I even know what it really means.
Well, I said I think you hit the nail on the head right there. I think everyone's got a different definition of what cancel culture is, and because everyone has a different definition, they're using the same word but in the wrong context, time and time and time again, and that's creating a lot of the issues that we're having in today's world. Or it's maybe not creating, but piling on might be a better phrase.
Like to me, and maybe my definition is wrong. So my definition of cancel culture is someone does something that the majority of society frowns upon, and as a result, they get taken out of the limelight. And an example is Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
Kevin Spacey had allegedly made a move on an 18-year-old, an unsolicited move on an 18-year-old. And because of that accusation, he lost every TV role he had. He lost every movie role he had, and basically he has been removed from movies and TV altogether.
Yeah.
Is that cancel culture?
I think that's part of it because that triggered a lot of the Me Too movement.
Okay.
And I think it was probably started off with the best of intentions, and now it kind of snowballs. Like if you said something offensive years ago or did something offensive years ago, and people caught wind of it, they're trying to cancel you now for it. You know, a great example I read, and this is one of those things. Is like, this is fucking stupid. Megan Fox, the actress,
okay,
best known for her role in the Transformers movies.
Okay.
Was recently in a movie. I forget which movie it was. No, she was in a movie. This is 40. Judd Apatow a few years back.
Okay.
Never seen the movie. All I can do is just tell you what I learned, what I read in the article.
Okay.
I guess the role she played, I made her look, kind of demeaned her a little bit, according to some supermodel today who apparently gets to decide who gets canceled and whatnot. So because the supermodel finally watched the movie, she decided Judd Apatow needs to be canceled because of the way he portrayed Megan Fox. Megan Fox's character in this movie, which, by the way, Megan Fox did sign a contract to play and played in the movie. So this model is trying to cancel Judd Apatow for it, and trying to make people be apologetic for the roles that they have made or cast Megan Fox in the past.
So what? So that's her personal opinion. That's not necessarily a law that was broken by Judd Apatow. It's just she didn't like that it was the way it portrayed Megan Fox, and so as a result, she's bringing it upon herself to influence people to cancel him.
Basically, yeah, and I think that's what a lot of cancel cultures turn into. If these people that the public worships on the internet decide they don't like something or they're going to cancel it, they fire up their followers on the Instagram or the Twitter or the TikToks or whatever the hell you have now, and they turn them loose on these people and these things.
And I mean, I don't know about you, but that seems ridiculous. I don't know.
Oh, it is. It is. I mean,
I don't know what. Well, I don't know enough about what you're saying, but yeah, I that seems like that would be a really cruel and almost a cyberbullying type of thing when you cancel someone because you don't like what was done, even though that movie came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it was like 7 or 8 years ago. And I read this article, I'm sitting there thinking, I don't get it. Like, you're mad that he wrote this character, hired an actress to play it. This movie was professionally produced and released into theaters. Megan Fox was compensated for playing this role, and now you're mad all these years later at the way that she was portrayed in this and the character she chose to play. It's like, I don't think you can cancel anybody for that. And I think the fact that you're trying to says more about you than it does about the guy who wrote the movie.
Well, and shouldn't the cancel culture be for the betterment of society? I'm not seeing why removing Judd Apatow from
Hollywood,
from the what benefit to our society is that?
I don't think there's any benefit to it. Like I said, it comes that this particular example comes from just, it seems like a personal vendetta more than anything else. It seems I don't know, out of place, out of sorts, if you will.
Now, does cancel culture only refer to social media?
No, I think it refers to a lot of things. I think we see it mostly in social media.
Okay.
I think that's the platform that the world chooses to use, depending on which platform on social media you want to get the word out and find out about information. So those who we look to for news, for information, and so forth, will often take to those channels to push the messaging of cancellation out there.
Okay. Okay. Uh, I don't know. For me, like I think about like when Trump got kicked off of social media
Yeah.
platforms, and basically what that did is it basically silenced him in the social networks that he became very, very proficient at. To me, that's a cancel culture, right? Someone made a decision to remove him from Twitter and Facebook, and if you're a anti-Trump person, oh, cancel him all the day long. We don't need to hear him. He's the detriment to our society. Pro-Trump people are. I can't believe that that's the kind of power we have in this society that we just cancel someone because we don't like what they say.
And that's a good way of putting it. And the funny thing is the people that are complaining that he was canceled, and this is the society we live in. A few months later or earlier, we're complaining that we were canceling Dr. Seuss because they discontinued a few of his books that had racially inappropriate drawings in today's world.
Well,
And they didn't fully understand what that was. They just heard they're discontinuing some Dr. Seuss books, and let the cancel culture vibe go from there, or created their own mess from there.
and to me, that now we're getting in a slippery slope. This cancel culture uh, uh, motive that is you're taking a book that was written almost 100 years ago and putting it in under today's microscope and saying something's wrong with it or something is offensive about it. Um, do we have I mean, should we be canceling those kind of things out?
Well,
If something was done 100 years ago and now we're saying it's offensive or it's not.
well, it's
um,
and this the Dr. Seuss example wasn't a fact that it was, discovered by the public and the public had an outcry. The Geisel family, who owns the Dr. Seuss corporation, reviewed the books, and as a business decision and family decision, decided to stop producing those books.
I think the one thing, and maybe you can kind of help me understand, the one thing about cancel culture that I do feel is hard for me is that it seems very particular, that it doesn't follow a universal guideline of what should be canceled and what shouldn't be.
No, I think I
Uh,
think that hits it right on the head. I think it's if someone's trying to cancel something, generally it's for their own personal benefit or gain, not the world's.
yeah, I mean, and anytime that your logic or your moral compass is, I don't want to say hypocritical, but it is not universal.
Yeah.
It fluctuates. It makes it hard for me to take your cancel culture seriously, because you're not spreading it over everything. You're only using it as a weapon against things you don't agree with, but things that you do agree with, you have no problem with that staying in place.
Yeah, and that's a fair statement too. At that point it becomes a weapon, and that's the world we live in now, where people are weaponizing words and half cooked ideas without properly explaining it, just hoping that people will grab the headline and not read any further and just run with the information based on what they see in the headline.
Now, one thing that I am fully aware of is just like this model on the Megan Fox thing. If she's an influencer on social media, she carries a lot more power to cancel
Yeah, and what's her name?
something.
I'm sorry, I'm looking up Emily Ratajkowski.
Okay,
I,
I'm
I,
familiar with the name, but I don't know what she's famous for.
I think she's she's a model. I think she's on Sports Illustrated. It's all I really know. It's
Okay.
maybe a Victoria's Secret model. I'm not quite sure what establishes a supermodel these days. I'm not in my teens anymore, so I don't really know or nor care.
And I guess my thing is that while sometimes I respect that someone wants to be socially aware and wants to be an active member and speak their truth, you know, sometimes you just have to realize that not everyone really gives two shits about your truth. I don't
Oh yeah,
care what your truth is, and I certainly don't think that it's your truth is. I mean, it's almost like you think your truth is more important than mine or anybody else's truth. And once again, we're falling into this. What's good for the goose isn't good for the gander. Like you have
yeah,
no problem. You have no problem going after Trump, but you have a total problem if someone goes after Nancy Pelosi for the same thing
yeah,
or tries, you have a problem with, well, no, you either use it for everything or you don't use it ever. You can't have it both ways. You can't, because then you start getting into this whole thing about, well, you know, I believe in one thing and I'm going to set my rules for it, but the rules don't apply to everything, just the things that I believe in. That starts to get down a dangerous slope.
yeah. I agree completely. I think that is the danger that this world has been on for a while. That is that slippery slope, and I think it's a slope we're going to continue to live on as a society because we can't get past ourselves and our own stupidity right now. And the more we keep leaning into social media and people's opinions that don't actually affect the world or anything we do, we're doomed to keep repeating the cycle for quite a long time.
Well, and if no one's asking, I mean, if no one's like stopping and asking the right questions, it will keep going. It will keep going. I mean, it's kind of like, do you remember in the 50s? Well, in history, in the 50s, when the McCarthy hearings were going on, they were going after the communists.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of a cancel culture where if you were labeled a communist, you lost everything.
Yeah.
I mean, whether they could prove it or not, whether they had, and it finally just took one person saying, haven't you done enough? And it was kind of like the wake up call to everyone saying, this is ridiculous what you're doing. And sure enough, that man went into obscurity. McCarthy was never a factor in politics ever again. And
Yeah.
ebbed out of politics. But it took someone just asking the question, who are you and why are you doing this? What are you gaining out of this?
The problem with that story is that you're talking about a world that was 70 years ago. Now at this point, 65, 70 years ago, there was no so. It was literally a different time. It was a different era. And now, if you said that to literally anyone that was trying to cancel something, the responses, I would be curious to see what the responses you get, because I assume that they would be more of a, what's it to you if I can help someone else not have to deal with this, whatever this is. I've done my due diligence. I've done my job in this world. People take the self-righteous stance and think they're doing this for the greater good because of what their view of the greater good is, not what the actual greater good is.
Well, and I don't think they have any care or any concern about the lives that get destroyed by this. I mean,
No, they don't. In fact, I think
what
they're hoping to destroy lives by it.
I mean, I can honestly say, I mean, the one that always sticks out to me is Kevin Spacey. I mean, this is a two-time Academy Award-winning actor who,
Yeah,
in his personal life, made a decision that it wasn't even illegal what he did. He
actually,
didn't do anything illegal.
I think he was 16, not 18.
No, the waiter was 18. I don't know about the 16-year-old, but that one also happened 30 years ago too.
That's true. That is true.
I mean, and he was like 26 or 25, so it wasn't. I don't know. I think if we're gonna say, well, touching a 16-year-old is totally taboo and everyone should get canceled. I mean, let's be honest. That happens all the time in real life.
And it does.
But
And
his whole career has been destroyed.
yeah, well, I think if you do the crime, you should definitely do the time. But there's a certain point where that kid should have said something back in the 80s.
Well, and I guess I even take it a step further is, isn't there that he who lives in glass houses should not throw stones?
Yeah, they do, but most of
I
them
mean,
don't care. They're too
most of
ignorant
them
to
don't.
realize.
They don't. They take their stance of the political of the moral high ground, and the reality is that they don't care about the life that they destroy, and they have no room to be judging anybody. Now, don't get me wrong. Um, Bill Cosby is another example. Bill Cosby, his actions he did victimize people, and he took advantage of people, and he did things that has ruined his. I have no problem with what happened to him and how he was basically, he had shows and then they got canceled and then he got arrested and then he got put in jail. I have no problem with that because what he did goes beyond. Maybe it is a legal thing, but I'm okay with canceling someone like that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get it.
Canceling
I agree,
Judd Apatow because you don't like his movies.
Dumb.
I mean that's ridiculous. That's like saying I'm going to cancel this model because I don't like ESPN or I don't like Sports Illustrated.
No, I agree. I agree completely, and that's the world we're coming to. Though you can only gain that kind of traction if you have the millions and millions of followers that she has that'll follow suit. And it's crazy to me how these people will follow celebrities or anyone on the internet, people who get internet famous, and listen to their words like they have value in those subject matters, just because they're famous. And that's what's scary. That's we are literally living in an idiocracy right now.
Yeah, I have a family member who talks very articulate about a lot of different topics, but his only source of information comes from Joe Rogan
Oh
and
yeah,
his podcast.
we've talked
Now,
about him. Yeah.
now, I don't know about you, but do I want you making a decision of what our culture should be canceling based on your expertise listening to Joe Rogan? No. And I guess that's my part is, if we're going to cancel someone, let's do it for the right reasons. Who's the authority that gets to decide who gets canceled and who doesn't?
No, I agree. I agree completely. Like there has to be something out there that says, written rules finally of who should be canceled and for what reasons, if that's going to be a thing.
And as much as I agreed with the decision by Facebook to stop Trump from posting what he has been posting, I do feel that Facebook is in a dilemma now because there are other people that post just as bad of things that maybe don't have the spread or the reach that Trump did, but say just as bad things, and they're still on Facebook.
No, it's true. Same with Twitter.
So even the authority of a Twitter or Facebook to say, hey, look, it's our website. We have a choice of who we want posting or who we don't. Gets down to a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It gets down to a slippery slope. Do you think that there should be a cancel culture?
No. I don't think that. I've never thought there should be a cancel culture. I think there's right and there's wrong, and if you're in the wrong, you should have to go pay your penance and whatnot, and have a chance to rehab your image. And I will, I'll put this example out there. Michael Vick, the great quarterback for the Atlanta Falcons back in the early 2000s. Went to jail for dogfighting. I think anyone that listens to the show knows me. I'm a huge animal lover. I was done with the guy, man. Fuck that guy. I can't believe he'd do that. But he went to therapy. He's created charities to help, dogs that have been in fighting rings and animal rescues. He's worked to rehab his image because he was given that opportunity. And I think if you make mistakes, you should be given that opportunity to rehab your image and undo the cancel culture. But there's always extenuating circumstances. Bill Cosby, he's always going to be canceled. Kevin Spacey, he's done. Doesn't matter if it's 30 years ago. He's done. Probably needs to be.
And right there, I say, why? He's done nothing else that anyone else. There have been hundreds of cases of this happening that are still have acting careers, that still have their business careers. Why do we pick and choose who's going to be canceled and who's not?
Yeah, well, I mean, look at that happened to Harvey Weinstein though too. He's a big time movie producer that used his position to sleep with thousands of women and do how much, and he's in jail for it now. He's been canceled, and that doesn't seem to be. No one seems to want to give that a second thought. So I think it's up to the people. It's up to the industry, and people like that shouldn't come back. They should stay in jail. And Kevin Spacey, so we don't know what happened back then, but I think no matter what, if at some point you do a crime and it takes 15, 20, 30 years to get caught up for it, at that point you have to do the time. Mel Gibson, back when he had all those anti-Semitic rants,
that's not a crime either.
It's not a crime. But
So
he essentially
why
got
did he get
canceled.
canceled?
He essentially got canceled because of his views or
Yeah.
his comments about the Jewish community.
Okay.
And he's never really made a full comeback. You still see him, and you'll occasionally see him in a major movie, but he's not Martin Riggs from Lethal Weapon anymore.
So I guess, and that leads me, I guess that always comes back to it is, so if I'm exercising my right to free speech, why does the society have the ability to cancel me?
I don't know if it's excuse me. I don't know if it's the society that has that ability, or if it's the certain people that have the influence of the society that are trying to cancel you. You know.
Yeah.
So as long as we're not offending, was that Emily Ratajkowski? Liquid Courage should be here for quite a while. If she decides she wants to take on two middle-aged men like this, by all means, you can hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all at Liquid Carnage. I would love to have a discussion with you about this because I want to understand your flawed logic. However, she's not going to do it. I mean, she's just trying to make the headlines, and maybe her and Megan Fox are friends, and she thinks she's helping. But at the end of the day, all that does is essentially hurt Megan Fox's career moving forward more than it does help her for what she's done in the past.
Well, and it just goes to show you that obviously these people don't care about who they hurt. They don't care.
No.
And that's what infuriates me about that story that you're talking about is they don't care what kind of damage that does. They don't care what that does to his reputation. Doesn't care if that means that his wife and kids can't have a home. Not that that would happen, but and who's to say, Emily, who are you to be the moral compass of the United States or the world to be able to make that decision and say, hey, let's cancel this person?
Yeah, it'd be one thing if they held a gun to Megan Fox's head and said, you're going to play this role and this is how you're going to do it. And you're not going to get paid for it. But if you want to live, this is how you're going to do it. But that wasn't.
And I would argue, why would you cancel someone because of that anyways? You're a movie actress. This is your job.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, unless that's what Judd Apatow was doing, which I can say wholeheartedly he wasn't, because she was compensated for that movie. She did sign a contract. So if she willingly did this, you cannot be mad at the people she did it for just because she didn't like the final product.
And not to mention, why isn't Megan Fox doing this? Why are you doing it? You're not even a part of this.
Yeah, exactly.
And maybe that's really the key issue to me is that canceling someone when you're not even involved. Well, why should you? You don't even have an opinion. Why do we care what your opinion is about anything?
And that is the problem we have in today's world. So as we wrap up this conversation, I can wholeheartedly tell you our EP Tom at Instagram and Twitter at liquid_EP is going to call us two old men on a soapbox this week. But I think we brought up a lot of good points.
I think that it's it always comes back to if you can't live it universally and you can't conduct it universally, then you really shouldn't conduct it at all.
That's fair.
But that's my own opinion. And if she wants to come cancel the show because of it, I'd be more than happy to talk to her anytime. She can come on the show anytime, and we'd be more than happy to talk to how her opinions, what they mean to us, and maybe she should keep it to themselves.
Yeah, maybe you're absolutely right. and maybe at that point, just to button this conversation up, she might find out that our opinions aren't all that wrong at all, and maybe that the story that was written that I read was maybe taken out of context, but we'll never know because I don't think she's talking about it.
Well, and who knows? Maybe someone heard her say something and just said, "Oh, I'm going to report this and make it bigger than it really is." That happens all the time too.
That's right.
Things get taken out of context, or parts of a quote get said, but not the whole entire quote, and so then it turns into a big thing that's wrong too.
Yep, and that is how we have cancel culture. That being said,
I'm glad we're not going to be canceled, and even if we were, we have loyal listeners. They love us, and we appreciate them so much.
Yeah. Well, at that point, we'll just start a new show, Liquid Edge Kern.
Yeah, Edge Kern. That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Hey,
or solid carnage.
Yeah, there we go. Solid Carnage. That's right. Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We really appreciate you. That was Scott. I am Jason. And as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some liquid Carnage.